Squad depth at West Ham is genuinely a massive concern. To be honest, it's something we've known for quite a while. Squad depth at West Ham has never been our key feature. David Moyes historically likes working with a small squad. However, when you work with a small squad, you want to be able to rely on your bench to be able to use that rotational switch up throughout a season to be able to give the relevant rest to specific players, your best players, if they possibly can, to recover, give them time to recover and bounce back, but also rely on players behind you sitting on the bench, looking at them thinking that they've got a chance of coming on and making a difference in the game. And West Ham, I suppose you could say, as of late, have really been lacking that. Now, people have been talking about our lack of depth over the past couple of years, but really it's been coming to the forefront over the last particular couple of weeks. Now, when I say it's come to the forefront, that doesn't mean that we've not noticed it a lot earlier, even way back in the January transfer window, even possibly even back in the summer transfer window. But let's go back to the January transfer window. Rumours were rife that Benrahma was going to leave. What happened? He left. Rumours were rife that Pablo Fornals was going to leave. What happened? He left. What did that do? We never brought in any real recruits to recover from losing that lack in depth. At least having those two players gave us options. The problem that West Ham find themselves in is that if you keep a player who doesn't want to be at the club, then you face issues within the dressing room. So part and parcel of that decision to let those players go was correct, but not bringing in recruits was wrong. And I think it's a risk. And I don't understand why sometimes, as much as West Ham are risk averse, then why do we take risks in the transfer market? That's what I don't understand. So then fast forward to the Newcastle game. We are cruising because we are winning 3-1 and we think, let's make a tactical decision. Let's not go like for like. Let's not swap Antonio for Danny Ings. Let's put Calvin Phillips on for Antonio and start to switch up our tactics mid-game. And that worked out and not in our favour so badly for West Ham that you could cry thinking about exactly the decisions that we made in that game. Then you play Tottenham the other night and we don't make any substitutions. You're about to see Danny Ings come off the bench. But when you look around our bench, you're not filled with a huge amount of joy. And I love every West Ham player with all due respect. I really do. And I'll support them as much as I possibly can. But you can't help but think to yourself, that bench is weak. It really, really is weak. And it's concerning when you've got to get through such a solid season that you're relying heavily on just a said amount of players. Now, I had a little look over the West Ham squad. And when I look at all the players that have played this year in a West Ham shirt, so these are the stats for the 23-24 season. I've counted 15 players that have got over 13 players that have got over 15 appearances for West Ham, of which some of those players are only, and the majority of them are substitutions. And we're relying heavily on Areola. We're relying heavily on Sufal. Areola's made 27 appearances in the Premier League this year. Kurt Zouma, 26. Mavropanos recently is in the team, 16 appearances for the club. Palmieri, Emerson, 29 appearances in the Premier League. Vladimir Sufal, 29 appearances in the Premier League. Lucas Paqueta, 24. Kudus, 26. James Ward-Prowse, 30. Alvarez, 25. Souček, 30. Jared Bowen, 30. And Antonio, 19. But the rest of the squad is really a minimal amount of appearances. Apart from Danny Ings, who's got 15, you've got Max Cornet made 5, or most of them add up to 102 minutes of football. Calvin Phillips, 7, adding up to 291 minutes of football. Then you've got Angelo Ogbonna, 7-minute games, 317 minutes of football. Aaron Creswell, 6 games, 240 minutes of football. Thilo Kehrer, 4, who's obviously gone, 18 minutes of football this season. Benrahma, gone. Pablo Fornals gone. We don't use and utilize our squad. And I think the game's moved on from when David Moyes was initially in charge at Everton, where you probably could have relied on such a low squad numbers. But this time round, playing the amount of games that West Ham do, you can see that the legs are dragging. You can see that the players are struggling, and you need to be able to bring on specific players to be able to really make an impact. And if you're telling me that players like Max Cornet are not capable of their day, then I don't genuinely understand why we didn't look at selling him, because what's the difference between selling Max Cornet back in January and not giving him any form of game time at all? So that's frustrating. Of course, it's frustrating, and the lack of depth in the West Ham squad is concerning. And it also is going to be added to the mix the fact that we are already lacking in squad depth, but also potentially losing quite a few players this summer. We've got a massive turnaround in this squad, huge turnaround, whether that's David Moyes, whether that's a new manager coming in. There is a massive rebuild coming our way. We have to be prepared for it because there's no ifs or buts or maybes about this. This is definitely happening this summer. Even with David Moyes in charge, we will be losing quite a few players. We will see a high turnover of players heading out the door and coming through the door. And that is also a concern because what we've been used to over the last 3 years and 4 years, there has been an element within reason of some form of consistency, especially in Europe, and then having such a high turnover of players, let alone the fact that you could be losing some of your first teamers is concerning. Another concern I've got is that we rely heavily on what, say, 11 of those players, Areola, the players I've just mentioned to you. But if one of them pick up an injury, then what happens? So far, we've been reasonably okay. Back in the winter, we were struggling. We potentially lost Kudus, Paquetá, and Bowen, just to name a few players. But we got through it within reason, right? It wasn't great, but we got through it. But you don't want to lose some of your key players. We lose a centre back. Then what have we got as an option? Ogbonna, albeit, yes, he had a fantastic performance against Arsenal earlier in the season. That's not where you want to become reliant. Bang, you get an injury to one of those creative forwards. Bang, we're in trouble. Same with West Ham in the midfield. If you lose someone like Alvarez, which we have due to suspension, then bang, we're deep in trouble again. Squad depth is key. Most teams within reason in the Premier League have a reasonable squad. I even compared West Ham's kind of Premier League appearance players with over 15 appearances on average compared to, say, Brighton's, and Brighton beat us by 5 players because they have a strong squad, consistent level throughout that squad. You've got players that have made 15 appearances, 17 appearances, 16 appearances, 24, 25, 21, 18, 25, 20, 27, 15, 21, 27, 23, 19, 22, 15, 20. I mean, I think that's 18 players I just rhymed off to you there that have made over 15 appearances for the Brighton in the Premier League. So within reason, I get where we are and I'm happy where we are, but I'm worried about the squad depth. I'm concerned about the squad depth. I'm concerned at the quality on the bench. I'm concerned at why we let players go and never brought anyone in. I'm probably bringing to you things you already know. But either way, something needs to change. We need to look at the depth in the squad because you want to be able for these players to look over their shoulders and go, do you know what? It's not a dead set that I'm going to start. But see, right now, if you're telling me that Mavropanos is looking at that team sheet and he knows he's going to start, and Zuma, he knows he's going to start, Paquetá, Bowen, Kudus, Alvarez, Soucek, they all know they're going to start. They're not necessarily looking over their shoulder going, oh, however, who's going to be challenging for my position? Because right now, nobody is. That's my concern for the season. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed that. Short, sharp, sweet, straight to the point, in your face, West Ham Daily. Take it easy. And of course, come on, you are.